Welcome to Matt Bajerski YouTube channel. This morning we're going to do a little workshop, I guess, on crystals. So I hope you enjoy it. If you're not into crystals, no problem. You can always watch the next video. But this is my chosen subject. If I was on Mastermind, this would be the subject that I would consider to be probably one of two of the most important subjects of my life. One which is energy and the frequency of energy and how we can use it, utilize it, and how we can manage it and how we can feel it. These are the things that I teach as a pure energy healing instructor, as the founder of the Pure Energy Healing Academy. And crystals, which were a prominent part of my life for 2 decades. Every day I've worked with literally thousands of crystals and understanding crystals, working with them on clients, working with them on myself, using them as spiritual shamanic tools all over the world, and having great success with them. And along the way, having great fun, because you know the moments when you just go, did that just happen? Oh my God. You know, it's those, I'm not a blasphemer, but it's those my God moments that kept me so intrigued about crystals. I find crystals fascinating in so many ways. They're not rock and they're not water, but they vibrate in between. And that unique vibration has held me in captivity. It's baffled me. It's just brought so much joy into my life when I've seen the amount of healing taking place of the innocent, which are children, who have suffered with many different things: bullying, depression, suicide. And I've had the pleasure of working alongside children and seeing their progress through pure energy healing and through crystals. And I always found that after a healing session, if I laid a crystal on a child and gave them the healing session and then gave them the crystal that was used, I realized that that crystal is an absorber of memory, positive memory, not negative, but positive. And whenever I kept a crystal after a healing session, it would somehow miraculously fall into the right hands of somebody who had the same issue as the first client who had the healing session. So it's like, this is no coincidence. This is phenomenal. Is this a kind of energy that we don't understand? Is this another world that interacts with us? And all of those questions that I asked about healing and crystals. So those two subjects are my chosen subjects if I went on to Mastermind, which they wouldn't invite me on because I'm as thick as 2 short planks. But when it comes to things like this, I've put the work in. And I think when you put the work in, it's inevitable that you'll understand things, because you work from 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning right the way through till 8 and 10 o'clock every day for 2 decades. That's a lot of work, and you get to see a lot of things and you get to understand a lot of things. And that's one of the things that I struggled with in the field of crystals and that kind of community is books. And people often say, when are you going to bring a crystal book out? And I'm always reluctant, because first of all, each soul that writes about a crystal, they're writing about their interpretation, or interpretation that somebody's told them. That interpretation is of a singular energy, meaning that the one person that is talking about this crystal and what happened with that crystal would only be really for the person that had the experience with it. And right at the very beginning, I asked certain people, and it was evident that people were getting aggressive and angry, and it was almost like a religion with crystals. So I haven't got it here. Just let me get it. Excuse me. When you need something, you can't find it. It's called The Crystal Bible by Judy Hall, and there was many people who were friends or trained with her and so on. And I remember one day, two people were sat here, and not in this place, in the other place, and it was like, it was really awful, because I'm not somebody who points out things out of pleasure and out of ego, but I asked these two ladies who were almost avid fans or almost treat Judy Hall as a guru, and everything that was written in the book, they were completely 100% believers. So I asked them both to close their eyes, and I took a crystal, and it was an amethyst. And I placed it into one of the ladies' hands, and all asked her to close her hand and tell me what she felt. Before I asked them to do that, and then it went quiet and the music went on, and I didn't tell them to do anything. I just said, what I'll do is I'll put a crystal in your hand, and I'd like you to feel it and tell me what you feel from this crystal. It was already evident that they were kind of like, not panicking, but they weren't happy. But I thought, well, you're crystal healers. You're powerful. You go around talking about crystals and so on. So I don't understand what the issue is. Anyway, so I did that, and then they both opened their eyes, and I took that crystal and put it back on my table in amongst 200 crystals. So they didn't know which crystal they both had. So I said to the first lady, what did you feel from that crystal? And she was hesitant, and then she said, well, I got a pain down my left leg. And she was, okay, you got pain down your left leg, anything else? Just a pain down my left leg. It was quite awful. And then I went, oh, okay. And I said to the second lady, what did you feel from the crystal, the other crystal that I gave you? I deliberately said, and the other crystal, what did you get from it? I didn't say anything other than the other crystal. And what did you get from the other crystal? So instantly she thinks it's another crystal. And she said, well, it felt like my heart was on fire, and it felt like it was healing. There was lots of things happening here. And I said, oh, that's great. And they said, oh, what two crystals did you get? I said, actually, I got the same crystal. It was this one. I just placed one in your hand, and when you'd finished, I took it out of your hand and put it into your hand. And I said, the reason why I did that is because I wanted to share with you something that I learned very early on. And that a crystal heals certain parts of the body. And depending on how you are feeling, how your makeup is, in so to speak, how your DNA, your health, your happiness, what happened to you as a child, your traumas, your joy, all of these things are vital for the crystal to feel that frequency. And I'll explain why in a minute. But the whole point was that it was the same crystal, but it didn't do the same thing on either of you. It did something completely different. It worked on your left leg, and it worked on your heart energy. And it worked on your left leg physically. So I said, so can we agree that a crystal doesn't actually work in one way? It works in multiple ways. And they kind of went, and there was no really interaction. There was no, yeah, you're right, because they'd already now bought into a doctrine. They bought into a dogma. They bought into a religion, because the book told them that this is how an amethyst works. And if it didn't say it in the book, then that can't be right, can it? Because it says it in the book. But actually, that's not the truth. The truth is that if I was to sit you here, just like the two ladies, and I gave you an amethyst, depending on where the energy is at its weakest, I believe a crystal will focus on the weakest point of your physical, emotional and spiritual. So let's say there's a block in your mind and the amethyst picks up on that. There's a block in your leg, there's a block in your heart. It will pick up on the frequency of what needs to be healed. And the great thing about amethyst is, and where many people go wrong, and many people say and send me messages, oh Mark, your crystal was amazing, I started crying when I first held it, and I got all of these feelings, and one particular feeling happened here, it was amazing, and now it doesn't work anymore. What if I was to say to you that the crystal actually did work, and it did everything it needed to do at that moment when you were holding it? Because that's what the crystal is for. It's to heal you from that moment. And you can put that crystal away, and in a year you can wear that crystal again, and you'll find that your feeling of, wow, this crystal's working, can be in a completely different place. So I came to the conclusion, and I'm sure with common sense, it's easy to see that the frequency of a crystal that vibrates in between water and rock, it has a frequency, a wave that it emits that is similar to our body, because our body is made up of predominantly water. So a crystal vibrates at that same frequency. If there is a disturbance in the frequency of water, it's going to clear it, because it wants to give the chi, the prana. It's a natural thing. If you go up to somebody and hug them, you're hugging them because you're trying to clear away the suffering that they're going through. Once that suffering's gone away, you can let them go, because you know they're feeling better, which means that their energy is better. Because when you say if you're feeling better, you can feel their energy is better. So now you can look at their face and look at their energy, they're happier. That pain's gone. Oh, my baby's crying, hold her. When she stopped crying, the energy of crying is gone. Same with the crystal. You wear a crystal, the crystal picks up on your energy and it clears all blocks or issues or traumas or whatever you want to call them. It's just names, but it's all frequency. Everything is energy. And the crystal helps vibrate you to the right energy. So imagine me writing a book saying, here, this is an amethyst and this is what it does. Well, no, it doesn't do that. It does a lot more. So my book would just be one page. A crystal, it would be called the crystal whatever. The crystal book of truth. You open it up. Every crystal is unique to you and your healing purpose. No one crystal does the same thing. Therefore, I cannot write about crystals other than the crystal will choose you and it will heal you in so many ways. So that would be my crystal book. Not very big, really. And it certainly won't be a bestseller because people like things to be given to them in certain ways. You're different. You've been maybe listening to me and other people that talking about more openness, and that there's more to life than just set rigid dogma. I talked about it this morning. When you look at a system which is so dark that we all live in, it's a system that deliberately stops you from knowing truth. Because if you know truth, you become the most powerful soul in the world. But if you create a system that tells you to obey, meaning open that book, read it, this is the truth and there's no other truth, then you will follow something that is not real. It might be real to that person, but not to you. So the book of life should be there. Nothing is written in stone. Everything is open. Everything should be open. Everything should be how you feel as an individual. Unique expression of this world. You are the guru. You are the teacher. But you also are the pupil. So we learn as we go along by mistakes, experience, by what we feel from a crystal. So when I used to be in the company of crystal healers, they really disliked me because I didn't buy into the dogma or the religion of how a crystal should be and what it should be and what you can't do and what you can do. Oh, don't touch my crystals. Why not? Because I don't want you to, but why not? They come into my academy, they come into my healing studio and children are touching all my crystals. Good for you. Why? Why are you letting them touch your crystals? Well, why wouldn't I? That child has got more energy and more love and more excitement touching them crystals. What do you think is going to happen to them crystals? That's the most powerful way to energize crystals. Let your children play with crystals because their energy is being absorbed into the crystal. That is now a memory that holds in the crystal, which makes the crystal even more powerful. Oh, don't let that woman touch it. She's nasty and horrible. But why not? The crystal's there. It might help her and feel better. And if she feels better, then everybody's happy in this room because she's better now. So you touch my crystals. You touch what you want. And if it makes you feel better. So I have a difference of opinion to people in the sense that I've never met a crystal that has been ill or sick or negative or evil or dark or it needs cleansing. Never, never. Crystals just vibrate at that frequency. Oh, well, they don't work on me. Well, maybe they don't work on you because you don't need fixing in that certain area. That crystal, you know, needs cleaning because it doesn't work. Looks okay to me. Let me have a feel. Wow, I get so much from that. Well, I get nothing from it. Well, maybe what that crystal has in a frequency has already healed you and fixed you. So maybe you don't feel anything from it. I don't know, but why don't you go back to it in 2 years and have a feel? Maybe the issues of your life and what you've been through in them 2 years, go back to it. It then might pick up on, again, the frequency, what needs healing within you. So, you know, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And a lot of people say, well, it's nice to cleanse and clear crystals. And I say, yeah, I used to do it all the time. And it was lovely. It was beautiful. I enjoyed it. And it made me feel better and made me feel confident that the crystal was at its best. When our clothes are mucky, what do? We wash them. So why not wash the crystal? It's lovely. But does it really need washing? Does it really need all of the things that you do? No, to the extent that wherever I'm traveling around the world, if I don't have any salt, if I don't have any healing oil to rub on the crystal, if I don't, if there's no sun, I don't panic about it because I know that the crystal's fine. So when I talk about cleansing crystals, there's nothing wrong with that because we're putting good energy into it. We're now putting more memory into it and love, and that's beautiful. But when we try and say to people that crystal is dark or it's got no energy in, I'm sorry, I just don't get that, and that's why I'm hated, and that by a lot of healers. That a lot of crystal healers don't like me at all because I followed what felt right to me. And why is that so wrong? Oh, well, you haven't been taught properly. But do you think that wisdom and knowledge is being taught by somebody else's wisdom and knowledge on crystals? Yes. Well, why? What makes that person so knowledgeable? Because they've worked with them for so long. Okay, well, I'm working with them, and I've been working with them now for 2 decades. What about my experience? Isn't that just as valuable or valid or less? So people judge and measure by the most ludicrous things. So I give you a great example, and I've given you this example before. I used to get a lot of grief when I started practicing pranic healing. And a lot of pranic healers are very stubborn and hard. Not all of them, but some of them, because they've been trained in Master Kokusui's way. Okay, so that's his way. And I use this as an example all the time of healing and how I believe, like crystals or like any energy work, there is a dogma in it, and it stops us from being the best we can be. So in this idea of a great and amazing powerful healer, which obviously was, people wrote down and took notes about how he healed, and then they said that this is pranic healing. No, it's not. It's a healer giving healing to his ability. That's basically what it is. That's the truth. That's one man giving healing, and this is his technique, okay? So you are now going to take his technique and copy it. Right, okay, so this is when I first began. So I embraced it. I did the cupping, I did the everything that was meant to be done, and how you heal in this way. I embraced it. And then I worked on one of my first clients, and she was about, I don't know, 60, 70 years old. And she had an issue with her right eye. And I can see her now sat there, lovely lady. I'm working on her right eye. And in the understanding of pranic healing, and please guide me, tell me if I'm wrong, but this was my teaching. You are not meant to put your hand over an elderly person's eye for longer than a few minutes because it's dangerous. So I was doing this healing, listening to the teaching of somebody who wrote down what Master Kokusui did, which was obviously a few minutes healing on an older person, and I did it for 2 minutes, and this lasted for about 3 months, and the client was coming back and there was no visible improvement. It was little bit when they left for about 15 to 20 minutes. They felt better, the eye was healthier, and then it went back to how it was. One day I thought to myself, no, that's not true. I didn't think, I just felt. There was no thought involved in that up here. So I'm giving this lady a healing session. I remember the music came on, which was different from this. And I'm giving a healing anyway. To cut a long story short, I was on her eye for over 1 hour and 20 minutes. I trusted what was happening. I broke through the dogma of what Master Kokusui did, and I followed what felt right. That lady left, and 2 weeks later, she came back and she said, my eye has never been better. And she said, it's now better. It's not like it's gone, it's just improved. So we continued for 2 years on her eye for 1 hour sessions. And it was incredible to see that the trauma in her eye, which was caused by her witnessing her, I think it was her sister, who I can't remember exactly what happened to her, so I'd be making this up, but it was traumatic. And that's when she had to have glasses and she had trouble with her eyes, but one in particular. So it was the shock of what she saw her sister go through. And we were clearing that trauma. Point being, Master Kokusui had obviously a very powerful energy. And that energy, he realized that if he left it there too long, was causing his client harm, or so he believed. I don't think healing can cause any harm at all. You can either heal somebody or you do nothing. That's my conclusion. And any pain that is happening is because the issue is being brought forward, it's been cleaned, it's been resolved, and the pain that you go through, and I can vouch for thousands of clients who have said to me, Mark, I nearly got up from the healing session because it was so painful. And I said, but you didn't, did you? No, I didn't, but I nearly did. Everybody used to say that. The pain was so bad. Some people who had strokes would feel the same pain as the stroke and think, oh my God, I'm having another stroke, and so on. But you know what I mean? So point being, going back to that point, Master Kokusui was right. And what he believed was right, because that was his belief, and he was obviously an amazing healer, right? And it worked for him. But you're not Master Kokusui, and your energy is not Master Kokusui's energy, is it? It's your own energy. And therefore, my understanding is that you have to find your own energy. You have to find the understanding and the balance of energy that flows through you. You have to understand your own chi, your prana. You have to understand, by way of practice, by way of your clients telling you feedback or what you've learned through your experience. Therefore, healing techniques, again, are similar to using crystals on your clients. You have to follow your inner intuition, by not thinking but feeling and going with that gut feeling. And this is a real great point, even if you don't know your feeling, and even if you don't know your gut instinct, then go on a quick reaction, meaning turn to your crystals, pick any crystal you want up, it does not matter which one, don't think about it, just pick up a crystal, okay? And then lay it on your client and let the work be done. Start your healing work, pure energy healing work with crystals, however you feel, it feels right. And you'll see after the end of a healing session that it was all as it should be. And it always is. Because I think there's a universal energy that guides us gently. It whispers, it nudges without us even knowing. And that's throughout our whole day, throughout our whole lifetime. We're gently nudged in a certain way, whether you believe that's your consciousness leading you or whether you believe that there's another energy, a universal energy, a God energy, whatever it is, that's always whispering and nudging you. And I think we've lost that. And I think the darkness that resides in the system has done this deliberately. It stopped you from listening to your inner guidance. It stopped you from feeling the true love of the God energy, the source energy, your angels, your guides, whoever you. It stopped you from following that. It's done it deliberately. And then it suppressed you with man-made poisons all the time. It suppresses you by fear on the phone. It suppresses you by telling you that you need to do this, you need to do that. So you're always in a command mode. You're always the sheep. And you know what happens to sheep? They're always led to the slaughter. So by standing back and being brave, by saying, I do not accept what I'm told, but I will find my own truth and my own path. I will experiment, and I will not just listen to what somebody said. If anybody tells you to do something, that should be a red flag. That's either a business transaction, basically they're trying to sell you something, or it's a manipulation for somebody else's benefit. When people don't try to sell you anything or don't try to tell you what to do, it's normally because it's fluid, it's love, it's just conversation. And therefore, the best and most powerful conversation to me is one which is natural, which is not forced. So you don't force your healing, you don't force crystals on people, you don't force your belief system on people. When somebody is ready, they will find you, or they will find who they need to find. And if nobody finds you today, it's because you need to work on yourself. And most of us, goddamn, need to work on ourselves every day. Because the one thing that is constant is change. Our body changes, it breathes in, it breathes out, it gets blocked like me, coughing. I'm clearing out all the stuff because I'm drinking Parasite Cleanse at the moment. I'm working on a certain crystal at the moment, which is really bringing out a lot of stuff, which is amazing. But if I said that to you, it might not work in that way, but it might work in another way. So I realize that the books don't work. They're great reference points. It tells you where the crystal's from, but my belief is this. If a crystal calls for you, it has meaning, and I trust that. And that's all that matters. So when I share what I've learned through crystals, like the one particular crystal that I really understood that worked really well in sync and harmony with nearly all my clients, was this one. And that's the Tektite. And the Tektite absorb negative energy from all over the body. So it's not like a crystal. And of course you would argue it's not a crystal, it's from out of this world, which it is, it's right. But I like to call it a crystal. It just makes me feel better, just like Moldavite. So it absorbs the energy wherever you put it. So if you've got a headache, put it on your head. If you've got an earache, stick it next to your ear. Amazing. If you've got issues in the stomach because somebody said something horrible to you, you wear it down here. If you want to protect yourself, well, it is a form of protection because it's clearing the negativity of the fear and the worry and anybody else's negativity, because it absorbs it before it enters into you and sits in you and causes you great harm, which negative energy does. But you won't be told this. Nobody talks about energy in schools. Nobody talks about negative energy in colleges and universities. They just laugh because they can't see it. And if they can't see it, it doesn't exist in their world. And yet the most powerful existence is to the naked eye, invisible. I mean, look at the air that you breathe. Without that, you're not here. Does that mean it's not here? Of course it's here. It's created by Mother Earth. It's created by the plants, by the trees. We create it by the soil. We create it. It's there. So it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And I've diversed a bit from crystals, but ultimately this is a workshop as I would talk to you, as I would do a workshop on crystals, because crystals are a frequency, a vibration. Healing is a frequency, a vibration. You are the most powerful crystal in the world. So no matter what crystal you have or what crystal you don't have, you are ultimately the most powerful frequency crystal in this world. Nothing more powerful than you. And when you realize that, and when somebody's there to say to you, look, stop listening to the black screen. It's trying to tell you that you're not good enough. It's always trying to tell you to look up to somebody or to listen to a politician or to bow down to a guru. That's deliberate. That's why it's called a program, a TV program. It's programming you to believe and to buy into something that is the furthest from the truth. Because the real truth is you are your guru. You are your teacher, but you also are your pupil, and you should follow your gut instinct, your intuition, your higher self. You should follow what feels right and become your best friend with who you are. Because the separation between the spacesuit, that is not you or your name, but the real you that resides within, that never dies. And that's who I love, and that's who I try and speak to every day. Because I know that your true you knows truth and sees through lies and manipulations. And that's why we end up sick or depressed, because we don't listen to this. We listen to this, and this causes the depression. But when we clear that and we listen to this and follow this guidance and choose to ignore what we've been programmed to believe and told what to eat and what not to eat and what medication to take and what not fruit to eat because it's filled with sugars and all the lies and manipulations that they're feeding you, it's all back to front, the wrong way around, inside out. Everything they tell you out there is a lie. When you realize that, here, this keeps telling you, it whispers to you every day. Your heart is always saying, this is wrong. All of this is wrong, what they're telling you. All of this is what they're saying on TV. It's a stage show. All of it. Joe Rogan, Fox News, Trump, Flat Earth, all of it. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just an illusion. It's just to keep you distracted from the true cause and purpose and life path that you have come into this world for. And it's not for that out there or what other people are saying to you. It's for you to find you and listen to you and follow that. Not to be a sheep, not to regurgitate other people's information, but to create your own. That's my message today. I've learned so much with my crystals, and I work with them every day, and I love them with all my heart. I love the teas that I make, and I share that with you. I share crystals that I felt and helped me, that you say, oh, I'm attracted to that. Oh, great, good. So you're attracted to it because of what it says or because of what you feel? I'm attracted to it what I feel. Good. Use the feeling, not the logistics of it. That's my truth. People tell me about crystals all the time. I don't go, ooh, wow. I just say, oh, I'd love to just feel that. And I hold it. And then I say, oh, this is what it did for me. This is how it feels for me. That's genuine. That's truth. That is 100% your truth. And that's what you should be following, not what somebody told you a crystal does. Surely. But then if you do listen to somebody and they say, well, this crystal helps, nothing wrong with giving it a try. So it's finding the balance, I guess. It's finding the balance. Because yeah, I talk about crystals, and this is what this did with my client, and that's what that did with my client, and that happened quite a lot with my client. But ultimately, it always should be you in the end that feels what you feel to follow. And it's nice to listen to all the other stuff, but don't be pulled into that when you make your choice of life. The choice and the feeling and the pull should come from within. rather than up here. And I think that's it. I'm going to start to work on some crystals today. That's it. I might make a couple of more videos on... I've got this that's just come in, a few of these. Hey, fire opal. It's a beauty and a big one. I might do a video on that, maybe. Let's see. But it's a beautiful day. I'm wishing you all a lovely day. I hope you enjoyed this crystal and energy workshop. And I hope you got a few things from it. And remember, please remember this. You are your answer. And if you think somebody else is your answer, then you're always going to be the pupil. Become the teacher. And by doing that, you become stronger and more powerful by the day. Trust. It's an amazing thing. Take care. Have a lovely day, guys. Love you all.